y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Ms. Espinosa and I teach kindergarten in Texas, and today I will be giving a classroom tour. I have a pretty small classroom, so I just want to share ideas on what I've been able to do with my space, so let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with our main entrance. My door is currently shut right now, but I have our class schedule displayed on the back, and then this is what I call my instructional wall, which is just where I display my objectives, my daily schedule, and sometimes I'll print out my lesson plans and put my lesson plans in there too. And then I have communal supplies, so this is where I keep all of my crayons. I have extra copies, kind of just miscellaneous items here at the bottom. I have some crayon packs that I'm keeping for next school year. I have a bin where I keep extra copies, and then I have extra notebooks here. Over on this side, I display my sight words, which this year we started using iWords, and it's a phenomenal way to teach your kids sight words. So if this is your first time hearing about iWords, it's a multisensory approach to teach sight words to your kids. And I do give a little demonstration on how I teach that to my kids in one of my videos that I will link if you're interested in seeing how that works. But I do like to display this main kind of sight word wall, so when they're writing they can come and look at the words. I have my calendar, which I purchased my very first year at the Target dollar spot. It is Dr. Seuss themed, so every month I just switch out the calendar numbers. I also have my main teaching cards for the sight words. I have a class set of whiteboards, which I love, and I have alphabet teaching tubs from Lakeshore, which we use at the beginning of the school year, especially when we're learning that new vocabulary, and we also incorporate counting syllables in a word. Here is my Clever Touch, which we mainly use to watch YouTube videos and the whiteboard feature. And then some of my students have Chromebooks that they log into. And then this is kind of my little teaching area. I hook up my laptop there and use the document camera to, especially when we're doing whole group work. This is where I display my read aloud for the week. And if we zoom up close, this is a resource that I use to track my students' kinder goals. And I was really bad about tracking our goals using this ice cream tracker this year, but I do have clothespins in here with numbers so the students would track their progress, but I did not do that this year. And here is my very small library area. I bought this rug a few years ago from Ross, I believe, for about $20, so I always wash it at the end of the school year. And I typically only like to display books based on the theme that we're learning about. I don't like to have a lot of books out at once, and up here in these book bins I have my leveled readers. And we are currently growing marigolds. It is day 31 of us growing our marigolds. And then we move on to this built-in section of storage in my classroom. My kids put their lunch bags up here at the top, and then in these bins I have just different centers and resources that I use throughout the year. So each bin has either literacy resources, math resources. This first bin has all of my pre-K things, but I really love these heavy-duty Lakeshore bins for organizing my materials. Down here I have my student math workbooks. And then I have a ton of these Scholastic boxes because our district bought us books, but I do not have any space to unpack them and store them at, so they have just been in the boxes. In this next little area, I have more books. Some are from my curriculum, but most of them are from the new set of Scholastics. My kids keep their backpacks underneath this little area. That's the only area I have for them to keep their backpacks, even though I've asked them not to bring any. And then here I have more of my curriculum materials. And in this area, I typically like to display any artwork by my students, so I try to switch it out monthly. And then I have a tiny math wall where I display numbers and shapes and money. This is my little recycling corner, but whenever we talk about recycling, I do like to have real hands-on material, so I kind of just keep this in the classroom. I really love having a bathroom in our classroom. So this is our bathroom, and I was using this light, so they're supposed to turn it on if someone is in there and then off when they finish. But honestly, like, it ran out of batteries and I have not replaced the batteries. But I highly recommend this little system. If you have a bathroom in your classroom, I would buy one of those circle lights, or even this was from the dollar store, just some sort of light where they can just press it, turn it on, and turn it off whenever they finish. And we have more of our plants in here. This is kind of the back area of the classroom. So this year I incorporated a sound wall, which this one I bought from Tess, the Krafty teacher, and I can link it in the description if you're interested. And then I placed my sight words underneath. I also have a vowel chart here. I made these digraph posters a couple years ago. I have a couple of pocket charts over here where students read sentences. And in this little corner hidden are my 2 teacher carts. So this one is full of extra copies and this one is folded away. So if I make copies, I usually carry them in my cart. This is just extra seating for when my students are working in this little area. So these are materials that they use for this little corner. And then here is where I display my small groups, which I just flipped my student's name over. But I really like this quick system for my grouping. I always love to use colors because it's very easy. We know that student groups change so much throughout the year, so I really love just taking their name off and switching their names with the groups. And this is just a display of what my literacy centers and my math centers are. And I can open my closet even though it's a mess. So up here I like to keep art materials. So this is all just paper and art materials basically. And down here it's kind of a mess. I used to have computers that were set up my very first year in this classroom, but they just take up too much space. The kids don't learn how to use them, so I've just stored them away. I think they are supposed to get removed. So this is the hot mess. In this closet I do have chart paper and just extra art supplies like chalk, paint brushes, and other just miscellaneous things. But here is my teacher area, which I love. These wiggle stools are from Lakeshore. I tried to not have a lot of stuff on my kidney table. Let me show you my teacher closet real quick. And then this is my teacher closet. My borders are hung up here. So I usually only switch out my bulletin board like 3 or 4 times a year. Not a fan of switching out my bulletin board, but these have been like my favorite borders. So I hung them up. This is where I keep my backpack. I have some black lights that I used for glow day last school year. I have a couple of jackets, a rain jacket, a hoodie, and then I have like an extra outfit, which is just a t-shirt and a pair of black pants. And then up here, like, I just have very miscellaneous things. I have a printer that I don't use very much. I do use my own printer at home. I have this megaphone that I occasionally use if my kids are very rowdy. I keep my purse and just extra little stuff in here. These are extra bins. And at the bottom is just more extra stuff. This is stuff that I would use for dramatic play or in a sensory bin. And then this is all just full of miscellaneous things that I've labeled down here. I do love having my own mini fridge and microwave in my classroom. This is kind of like my snack area, my snack bin. And then another way that I organize my things is that I like printing original copies and I keep them in these binders. And in this area, I bought these Sterlite bins my very first year of teaching as well. And I just keep other miscellaneous items. We know that as teachers, we can never have too much storage. And I do have a student that has to sit right next to me, so that's the student's things. And above, I have "Be the change you wish to see in the world," which is my favorite quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Now moving on to this area, I have my small group documentation things here, my personal supplies. I have extra supplies for my students here. These supplies down here my students only use if they're at my small group table. They're the marker dabbers and stamps and dry erase markers. Those are things that they only use when they are sitting with me at my small group table. And this is my small group caddy, so I keep things that we're working on with each group, like books. These are my dry erase markers, my sight word cards, whiteboards. Each little baggie has activities that groups are working on. I love dry erase pockets, and I use this for phoneme segmentation. And then this cart has been my favorite purchase. I just purchased it over the summer. Everybody has their own organizational system for organizing copies. I like to do it by skill. And I love having these 5 bins on the side so that it's basically extra storage, extra materials for each group that I'm working with. So I love it. And then I have just my documentation here, different types of documentation, documents that I need, lesson planning binder. And then over here, I have my classroom phone, Bluetooth speakers, just extra copy miscellaneous things. I have sheet protectors and laminating sheets down here. And the school did get us a laminating machine from Office Depot, but that one I only use like if I really need to. And then I really like, this is kind of like my personal trash bin that matches this little bin right here. So I bought that at Target a few years ago. And then I love to stay hydrated, so I have my water jugs. And then this little area is where I keep my iPads and headphones and login cards so the kids know where to get it from. And this little table is where I keep my center. So the black bins at the top are from Target and they have all of my literacy materials, and the gray ones at the bottom are the math. Here at the top I have my leveled readers. I have some books. The ones in red are my own personal books. The ones in the purple bins are the school books. Then I have science materials area over here. I have math and literacy up here at the top, and then just kind of miscellaneous things here. And I do keep my emergency handbook, my nurse notes, and band-aids in this little area here. And then this is the main storage area for my students. They keep their yellow folders in here, notebooks, water. And up here at the top, I keep things that they have to take home, Clorox wipes, spoons, Kleenex. This is my table setup, so I don't have a rug this school year, but normally I would have a rug right here down the middle. And each table does have communal supplies, so every table has colored pencils, writing pencils. These are wet erase wax crayons that I use instead of dry erase markers. We have a glue sponge, which I highly recommend getting a glue sponge. You just need a container, a sponge, and you pour liquid glue into it, and it will soak up all of the liquid glue. This has been my first school year using this, but it's been phenomenal and it has not gotten moldy, and it just saves all the pain in the butt of not having to deal with the kids losing their glue caps, not closing their glue correctly, and then they have scissors as well. As you can see, I try to be very minimalist with my furniture. I don't like to have a lot of furniture so that it doesn't feel even more cramped in this small space. And also just so I can see my students at all times. So the furniture I do have, I like to have it up against the wall so that I don't have any blind spots in the classroom. And this is just how I've made it work with this little space. And that's it, y'all. So I just want to mention that I do have a video where I recommend classroom manipulatives. I have videos where I recommend classroom must-haves for pre-K and kinder teachers. I have another one where I narrow it down to 10 must-haves for new elementary teachers. And I also have Amazon shopping list. You're welcome to look through those. I have one that is teacher must-haves. There's one that is classroom must-haves. I'm working on adding books that are great in the classroom that are my personal favorite. So you're welcome to look at those lists if this is going to be your first time having your own classroom and you need ideas on what things you should have. But that's it, y'all. This is my tiny classroom where myself and my 27 kindergartners are learning this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!